Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be on right now. It's been a couple of weeks of excitement, getting prepared, and I've done a lot of things in my life, but this has got to be close to the top.
Thank you, and Reader's Magnet, and thank you, John, for putting this forth and taking the chance on us authors in presenting this out to the world.
I've enjoyed this immensely, Joanne.
Ellie, so have I. Thank you for who you are, and thank you, Reader's Magnet. You all are beautiful, and you've worked so very hard, and we are blessed.
We are.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process, because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers. We thank Reader's Magnet and everybody that's involved. I love Reader's Magnet. They say, we share your stories with the world.
Hello, I'm TERRIE Stadler, and I am the author of the book, Who's Knocking at My Door? And this is a children's book, and it's based on an actual event that happened here in Fort Myers at my daughter's house where I was staying at the time. And we were just sitting around. I was maybe watching some TV and working on the computer, and she was pretty much doing the same thing. And then we heard this really loud noise coming from the front door in the living room, and it was pretty loud. And we're just looking at each other, and I thought, well, what's that? And I looked to see the dogs, and they were sleeping, so it didn't have anything to do with them. So my daughter got up to go to the front door, and when she checked the door, she sees that here's this turtle, and he's a water turtle, and they're very common here in Florida. And here he is with his big paws, if you want to call them that, his feet, and he's just banging on the door at like maybe 3 or 4 times. And so she says to me, you got to come and see this. So I get up and I go over to the door, and I'm like, oh my goodness, a turtle. And so she opens the door, and the turtle took one look, and then he just turns around and runs back to the pond that's in the front yard. And he's got to go down a slope. And anyway, he goes pretty fast, because these soft shells, that's what we call them, they're really fast on foot. They could do a race and probably win against the rabbit, whatever. But that is my book in a shell. So anyway, I was going to talk tonight about maybe something else, and I had watched this movie this morning to see. It was called Monolithic Monsters, and it was about something that happened in the desert, whereas there was a meteorite that fell and created this like big hole in the floor of the desert. And this person worked for the Department of Interior, and he was driving around, and he sees these strange rocks, and he decides to pick up a rock and take it with him back to his office. And anyway, I as I wanted to mention, I can't really see any chats right now. So hopefully we have someone back there that's going to type those chats in there. Anyway, this guy, he takes the rock back with him. Fairgore 1451. Hi, Terry. Oh, we have a neighbor who has a pet turtle. That's pretty cool. Now, we did have a gopher turtle at one time who was a pet for my son, and they're kind of big, a little bit awkward moving. I think they dig holes in the ground, and they have a different diet. They like to eat lettuce and apples and what have you, but that's pretty cool. So anyway, watching this movie, this guy takes this rock back to his office, and he's checking it out on the microscope and whatever equipment he has, and it's not common. It's not anything he can identify. So his friend came by who works for the paper, and he's looking at it, and what knowledge he had, he couldn't figure out what it was. So anyway, that rock, he just left it on like a counter where they have it's in a lab and by a sink. So later on, he sleeps there at that office, and in the middle of the night, this storm comes along, and it's very, very windy, and it blows open the window, and with that wind, it actually knocks over a beaker that has water, distilled water in it, and the beaker, it broke and poured over onto this rock. I have a question from Fairgore. Hi, Terry. Are you planning to write a new book? I get asked that a lot, and I just haven't come to the decision because I'm not sure what material I have that I could write about that would be enough to it to fill a book, because this one, Who's Knocking at My Door, is pretty small, but it does have a lot of whimsical drawings in there that were rendered by my daughter, Kimberly Henderson, and they're whimsical and colorful, and I think children would like those pictures. I really do. And kids like pictures usually, and I thought I would introduce there some renderings of the animals I see around our yard, which were like the different birds. Like there was a crane that would come around and he would stand in the water. We called him Storky Bird. And also we had the ibis bird, which they come around in little groups, especially after rain or especially after mowing the grass, because that's where they find all their food there, which I'm assuming they do eat a lot of insects. But there are a lot of pictures like that in there, and pictures underwater of the turtle, our particular turtle, and tilapia, and just, a group of life that would be living in that pond. But anyway, going back to that movie, that this rock had grown immensely, the one that was in the sink that got the water on it, and that was from the meteor. And that rock, I mean, everything just got broken up because it had grown so big. It was just busting up everything that was in that lab. So the next morning, there was the visitor from the newspaper again, and he has a key to the door, and he goes in. He doesn't see anything unusual, but he does notice his friend's not there. So he goes back in the lab, and here it's all wrecked. He doesn't know what's happened, and his friend is now turned to stone. So anyway, the whole movie is about trying to figure out what to do about these monolithic structures, because there was a little girl that went on a field trip out to the desert, and she was the only one. She picked up a rock and took it home. Well, wouldn't you know, she sticks it into a big pail, a big wash bucket thing that they used in the years ago to do laundry, and she sticks it in there, and without her realizing what happened, it started steaming and growing. And in the middle of the night, her parents must have gone out to see what was happening from the noise and all. And then they find them, they perished. The little girl had stayed in her room. And when they went out to look at the farm, because they knew that someone had gone out there, and all they found was the little girl. Well, she was kind of in some kind of a trance, and she was very stressed out, but her hand had started to become rock. So they were frantically trying to find out what to do about it. Nobody even knew what this rock was, how to address it, how to determine what it was, and what to do about these people that were being harmed by it. So they, of course, got professors that had been around for since the beginning of college or whatever, and they found other professionals who looked into this rock, and they eventually, of course, they take the little girl to a special hospital, and they had to put her in an iron lung because this stuff was actually affecting everything in her body, anything where there was moisture especially. And it took them forever to determine that it was water that was bringing this type of rock alive, more or less. I mean, it didn't have eyes or anything, but it was definitely roaming around. So they go out and they try to find, their one professor determined it had to come from a meteor. So they go out in the desert and they find this meteor, and all these rocks are on the ground, and they see the meteor. It's very dry out there. It hasn't rained for a long time. And then he realized, yes, it came from the meteor. It was the same kind of structure. They checked it under the scope and all this. And this rock, they just kind of left it alone because it wasn't doing anything. So then they're going back to the hospital trying to figure out what to do. And they noticed that part of the structure was silicon. So somehow they came up with this experiment that they had to do with the little girl. And they had silicon, and they used, there was a couple of other chemicals that they put together, including the one that you get that is just the water with the salt that you get if you go into the hospital. And that became part of their treatment. So after that, the little girl had to be in an iron lung because she couldn't breathe. It was all, this stuff inside her was turning her to stone. And so they came up with that protocol. And actually, after a couple of days, she started to recover. So they knew that the silicon, it was silicon based somehow, and that gave them some clues to work with. But then they realized that in the desert, they got a big rainstorm, and they started worrying about that desert and what they saw out there and the rocks and all. So they go out there, and sure enough, this big rock in the bottom of this pit from the meteor was like twice its size, and it was continuing to grow. It was the size of like, one of these big high-rise hotels. And it was so big, and it was at the top of this canyon. So it would keep creating more rocks and more monoliths, and they would kind of just start falling down the canyon, coming toward the town. And they would be falling and breaking and falling and breaking and creating more rocks and more of these silicon structures. So then they had to start worrying about the town. What can they do? But eventually what happened was they realized they had to put this saline around a perimeter where when the rocks reached it, it wouldn't be able to go any further, because like the medicine they gave the little girl, this combination, which they had created, the combination of these chemicals, would actually stop it. And it was just, right to the end, trying to figure out where were they going to get the salt. And then they came up with salt water. They didn't seem to be close to the ocean, but they must have trucked it in or whatever they did, and they were able to fill an area toward the base of the canyon before it got to the town. And all kinds of things going on, different departments, different areas of the country, also working toward that end. People trying to find other people and so forth. But that at least took care of that problem. But that brought me to what I wanted to talk about, which is a crystal. It's a stone, and it's called shungite. Fairgore 1451. What is our topic today? I'm so excited. Yes, I just mentioned it. I'm going to talk about shungite, and it's amazing. And I'm thinking maybe some of you have already heard about it. But shungite it's like a rock, and I have a piece of it here. See how it's smooth and black, and it's not real big, although you can get bigger pieces. You can get some shaped like pyramids, cubes, all kinds of different shapes. And here's like a bracelet that's made out of the shungite, and it's very small little beads that they put together. And this is supposed to benefit you. And this shungite comes from Russia, and that's the only place you will find it. It came there on, of course, Fairgore 2246. That looks really pretty. Well, it is pretty, and it's also amazing because of all the qualities it has. And this one, like I say, you can only find it in Russia, so that's where they're mining it from. It's in a lake there, and it's in a village, and the village is called Karelia, something like that. And shungite itself consists of nearly all the minerals that are on the periodic table. So that's one thing we know about it. And it is a mystery as far as what it is. I mean, we know it came from a meteorite, and I think that's where a lot of these unusual stones and such come from. And it's a mystery. So what they're saying is they have come up with some theories. Usually these kind of materials, they're basically carbon-based, and it came from, usually that type of structure comes from decayed organic, like old trees, forest trees. And come to find out, this shungite has been there, they think, like at least 2 billion years. Fairgore 2185. Does it come from outer space? It probably had to before it hit the Earth, because it was in the form of a meteor, and that had to come from space, and it got here. So I think, those qualities, who knows, maybe it's a gift from the gods, for us. It's not really super expensive. I mean, I also have a piece of it, a smaller piece than the black rock, and flat, and I have it stuck to my refrigerator. And the reason I did that is because it is said that it will help it'll help keep the use of the electric down by having that shungite on there. And that shungite will protect you from EMF, the electromagnetic fields. So we know that it consists of the carbons and all. And anyway, the reason they know it didn't come from, an old forest is because these old forests weren't around when this shungite was, because the shungite, they've said, is 2 billion years old. I don't know how they figured it out, but I'll take their word. Anyway, they say a large meteorite collided with the Earth, and it deposited this shungite into the Earth, into the ground. Fairgore, all I know that there is carbon on this rock because it's black. Okay. But they've, I'm sure, x-rated it and subjected it to a lot of testing. So what it can do is it kills bacteria. You can actually, it has this ingredient they call fullerene. It's a type of carbon, again, nanostructure. with 99% carbon. You can purify water with it, and you can make your own drinking water that you can use that will help in your own health. And you do that by taking the stone, like I showed you, not a very big stone, but this guy here. They're smooth, and I don't know if that they're tumbled or whatever they do, but it's about that big. And you put it into filtered water, and you put it in that water, and you leave it in there for maybe a couple of days. Then what I do is pour it into a pitcher and leave it in the refrigerator, because then I can just take it out and drink it whenever I want to. But there was some general or something, and I can't remember for sure, it may have been Napoleon, who knew about this, and he made his soldiers carry it with them because they could filter the water and clean the water with the shungite stones. So another thing, they say it reduces oxidative stress, it reduces inflammation, it what else does it do? It eases your physical ailments, and like I said before, it shields EMF. So you could put it around your Wi-Fi or anything that you know has EMF, like your microwave. And so it enhances the health of the body, the mind, and the soul. And I think that's pretty cool. And it works against pollutants, free radicals, and harmful germs. So it has a whole range of things that it does. So let me see what I find here next. It's okay. So anyway, they've done tests on it as recently as 2017, and they have found that the shungite can remove radioactive compounds from the water, and that's kind of new that I'm heard of. And what they did was they did an experiment with mice. They exposed the mice to ultraviolet radiation, and then after they did that for 2 days, it caused some kind of skin damage to the rats. So, and it caused oxidative stress, which is, they're related, I'm sure, the skin and the stress. And that was caused by reactive molecules that damage healthy cells. So for 7 days, they made up this shungite solution, and they applied it to the skin on the rats. And like I say, that was 7 days. And what happened was that this decreased what they call ROS production, which I'm thinking must be some kind of radiation. And they increased the antioxidant enzymes. That's what happened in that experiment. So Fairgore 2246, what other benefits does the stone have? Yeah, I'm looking at that to see what I might have missed here. But there was, okay, water infused with the shungite has been used for allergies, for sore throat, for asthma, gastric issues, arthritis, kidney problems, liver problems, gallbladder issues, autoimmune diseases, pancreatic dysfunctions, chronic fatigue. So those are the ones they've listed. They say you can place, well, I already mentioned that you can put it in water for 2 to 3 days, but you can put it in your purse, you can put it in your pocket and carry it around. And again, that seems to, maybe it emanates some kind of benefits because it is, it is emanating something that it can do all these things. And you can also place it near your bed so that you get better sleep, or it contributes to help with distress, helps to de-stress you. So you can buy it. You can buy it at on Amazon. I've seen it there. You can buy it on or in health food stores. You can, or health doesn't have to just be food, but natural health stores. You can also buy it at jewelry stores or any place that has crystals. The only thing you have to do, Fairgore 1451, can this help with infrared and UV rays too? I think there's no harm in trying it. I don't have it listed. It may be listed somewhere, but that's what they use to harm the rats. So it got rid of that. It helped those rats. So apparently it probably does. And then in addition, you can buy it at crystal stores and all. And I've seen it in jewelry that they're making. They have that added to the other stones that they make up the necklaces and so forth. So you get the benefit of the stones and the way they look, and then you get the benefit of whatever malady you may have, and the way that shungite can help with that. So, like I said, they did do tests in 2017, and of course, like you always will see, the tests say that there's not really enough research done on it to be sure. But we're research. I guess when we start using it and finding benefits with it, then I think we are the test, seems to me. But I enjoy it, and I, like I said, they say that you can help reduce your use of electric if you have it on your appliances. And then I never even thought about putting it on the router for the Wi-Fi, and it, maybe reducing the EMF, protecting you from the EMF. And there's a lot of information out there about that. And it's not really very expensive, but that shungite is spelled, shungite is SHUNGITE. That's how you spell it if you wanted to look it up or check on it. And I think I already was saying that it eases physical ailments and reduces inflammation. Fairgore 2185. Where can we find this rock? I want to save electric too. Yeah. Go into any, like I was saying, these it's not necessarily a health food store, but it's a health related store. And I've seen it myself in those places. I've seen it in crystal shops. I think it'll be very rare not to see it in a crystal shop because that's what they deal with. I've seen it at flea markets where somebody may have a stand where they have crystals and so forth. And the one I have on the refrigerator, on the back side, it's just flat, the shungite, but on the back side, there's a little patch where you can stick it to something so that you don't have to find some other way of sticking it. It already comes with a little patch on it, so it's sticky and can stick to your refrigerator, any other item that you want to experiment with. And of course, I don't know how we would determine whether or not it saved the electric, but I've got it on there and I'm keeping it on there because I feel I can't go wrong if I can save on the electric bill. And people are starting to learn more and more about this and are using it more and more. And it's common. I mean, but what worries me is, if it's only found in Russia, how long is it before Russia starts saying, oh, we can't sell this anymore, we're running low? I don't know. because it seems to be everywhere. Fairgore 1451, is there a bit of metal on this rock? It does not appear to have any metal. It's very smooth, and as you see, it's just like a rock, but really polished well. I'm thinking they must polish it, and it's I don't see any metal. And the ingredients listed that I found were this thing called fullerenes. It's a type of carbon nanostructure, 99% carbon. And I think that's basically what you've got is the carbon. And there are 3D spherical molecules that make that up. So again, you're and it does, if you're treating something, it doesn't seem to go away, those effects. It's not like a bottle of something that you're going to drink and then it's gone. It just seems to continue with that with those properties. And I've not heard of any special requirement that you have some special way to clean it or anything like that. I would just clean it in water because you can put it in water. And when you make it, and I have some in my refrigerator now, it does have kind of a strange little taste to it. It doesn't just taste like plain water. It does have a little bit. It's not something that stops you from drinking it. It's just something that I noticed that you can taste it. So this is something to have on hand if you're trying to promote better health, I guess that's what I would say. And again, purifying water, they've done this. It purifies water. So I think just putting the water through it, straining it through shungite stones or what have you, that it will purify the water. So in addition to that, I know there's a tree, a little bush that also purifies water, and that's a moringa. The moringa leaves, you can break them down, run them through some kind of a machine that kind of powders the leaves, and then you put them in something. Okay, Fairgore 2246. Use shungite as a filter? It would seem so. I think I have read that. You can, because it purifies the water. And like I said, and I don't remember for sure who the general was, but he insisted that his people, his soldiers, always carry that with them because of its abilities to purify the water and to get rid of the bacteria, killing all of that. But this ingredient, fullerenes, or whatever that is also a big part of the curing ability. So I think that's supposed to be what we credit that ability to. But if you shield those EMF, electromagnetic field, then okay, Fairgrower, are all shungites that polished and shiny? All the ones I've seen are, and the only the bracelet is not quite as shiny, the little beads. See, they're not quite as shiny, but they certainly do have that black carbon color. And you can wear that on your wrist, and that kind of helps your, for me, it would be my hand and wrist would feel a little better. But with me, after I wear it for a while, then it seems like I get fatigued and I have to take it off for a while. So I don't know if that would happen with other people, but it has with me. But I always still have that on hand when I feel like maybe I should wear it for a while and see if I feel better. So, they say it reduces inflammation, and that's one of the main problems with any of these illnesses is the inflammation, the chronic inflammation. that plagues us, and I'm sure that swells up in the body, and it's probably not allowing a good free flow of blood and everything else that is in the body. So if that can ease that, they're always looking for a way to ease inflammation, in which they say turmeric is what to use. But I also had a doctor tell me that you have to take like 3,000 units of that before you even notice any kind of difference with inflammation. And that's a lot, but if you want to do it, because I took it for a while, not the 3,000, I didn't know about that, but it really didn't do anything. And, I just hate to be taking things and remembering what to take, when to take this. Will this help? And then you don't notice any results. Like I had mentioned before, the CBD oil does not help me. And I mentioned that to a doctor, an orthopedic surgeon, and he told me that he hears that a lot from people. So you can't just think you're going to take it and it's going to be automatic fix things and do away with pain, because it's not that way for everybody. So anyway, it doesn't mean you can give up, or you should give up on looking for stuff, because I'm always looking for stuff. But I do have this shungite on hand, and I think like one of our fairgoers, I've got to find some to put on other appliances, especially the microwave too. I'm sure that uses plenty of electric, and it does have EMF, since it's radiation in there. So which you're shielded from, but still the shungite would help. I think it would. And basically, I think I've mentioned all the different things you can do. It takes care of. Fairgore 2246. Did you notice a big difference since you use shungite? I do when I drink the water. You can have a problem. One day I had a problem. I just kept drinking that water all day, and then it really eased my problem, and it made things better for me. That's my story. And like I say, but you've got to leave that stone in there for 2 days. That's 48 hours. And then it somehow enhances that water. And like I say, you can taste it. So, if you're having any kind of difficulties, it wouldn't hurt anything. Maybe, I don't know if it would help. There's people doing those commercials because they keep getting urinary tract infections. So I haven't really had a problem with that, but who knows, maybe if you did, you could drink that water and it would ease that problem. So it's worth trying it. And once you buy it, it's yours. You don't have to keep buying it over and over again. And it is attractive. It is an attractive stone. Fairgore 2185. Does it have to be distilled mineral water, or is tap water okay? It does not have to be distilled. And tap water would be okay. But I filter my water here because I'm telling you, and I have city water, and you can taste that chlorine. It's so strong. I even put it through one of those filters, the pitcher, which you have the little filter, and the water, the tap water goes down in there. And so I used that for a while, and after about a day, you can taste the chlorine again. So it must be some mighty strong chlorine, and I don't want to be drinking that. That's not good for your health. So I got a really much better quality under the sink purifier. And at one time I even had the reverse osmosis. The reverse osmosis, you really lose a lot of water because it keeps going through this water and eliminating it. and then more water. And I found that out the hard way once when my sink was stopped up and this water kept coming in. And I didn't know where it was coming from, but it was from that unit, that reverse osmosis unit. So, plus that it was stopped up, but that was something we took care of from outside. So, I didn't want it flooding anything because you are having it pumped in there, and then the unit itself goes through different filters and so forth, and that it somehow eliminates some of that water. So I switched again to something else, but then at that time I had well water. So that's different. Everybody's different. I'll take my chances on well water. So as long as it's filtered, and then they soften it. And I've seen now where they have saltless filters for well water, which I think would be better because those bags of salt are very heavy and awkward, and you have to put them in to this big container hooked to your water. There's like a water tank, and that all the water gets pumped into when you pump it. So I just found that very difficult. But like I say, now they have saltless ones, and that's going to be better. And it'll still soften the water. So anyway, that's another topic. And I think Shungite, maybe they can come up with some kind of an invention or development where it'll just go through the Shungite and not be needing all these other types of filters on it. So that's most of the information that I have as far as being able to help people. And again, it eases physical ailments, shields EMF, relieves stress, and it purifies water and reduces oxidative stress, kills bacteria because of that and I'm not good with that word there, but it's a type of carbon nanostructure and brought here from space because it crashed into the earth. Fairgore, 1451. Is there already a study on reproducing these rocks? That's a good question because I have not seen such a study. It's in its natural form where it comes from, so I don't know. I know they can reproduce rubies and other precious stones. As a matter of fact, what I remember reading about, these two ladies had produced the ruby, but they had to put something in it, like a small contaminant, just to tell them apart from the real ruby. Otherwise, you got people out there making fake stuff, and who knows. So that, like I said, that's a good question. I'll have to look and see if I find anything on that. I have not seen any articles that state that they're trying to reproduce it. It's just unusual. It's the only thing like it that they've found, and the only place in Russia. So I'm sure that is a good product for them to allow the people to buy it and to help humanity. And which there are other products that help humanity, such as the pink Himalayan salt. They actually have, with the pink Himalayan salt from Pakistan, they actually have hospitals down in the Himalayan mountains where this pink salt is found, because it's very therapeutic to people. And, if you're in the salt air or around the ocean, you'll find that it's, beneficial breathing in all that salt air. So it's much better than table salt. I saw pictures under the microscope, the electron microscope of table salt, and it's very revealing as to what that is, and it's all cut in perfect little cubes. Fairgore 2185. Is there a reason why we can only find it in Russia? Because Russia is the only place where the meteorite went. No other meteorite like that has ever been found. No other area anywhere on the planet has been found with with the shungite in it. So I'm just glad they're willing to sell it to us and at a decent price. It's only found in that one spot in a small village. And that village, what was that called? Called Karelia. And I think they may have the shungite word there somewhere in that vicinity. So, and maybe that's why they named it that. I think there was an area called shungite, and maybe they named it after that. So I don't know if there's other quality of stones that have that kind of health benefits. We know that clear quartz is beneficial on its own due to its electronic capacities, that it oscillates and so forth, and you have it in your watches and in electronic circuits, and it oscillates and can create that piezoelectric. So we already know about those crystals, and I'm sure there are many that have other qualities to them. But this one, health benefits, that's always good. Health benefits are always good. So, yeah, that's the only place they've been able to find it. But I thought it was interesting they have almost all of the minerals that are found on the periodic table. I wonder if there's anything out there, anything else like that. Fairgrower, are there other stones that are similar with shungite? Not with those qualities that I'm aware of. I mean, there are a lot of stones. There are so many that I'm learning about more every day. And some that you can wear, just like that bracelet that will help you, maybe keep you calm, or, take care of stress. And stress seems to be a big factor nowadays. So that can't hurt anything that might relieve that stress. And very common, it seems. So maybe we have found some ways that the stress can be arrested. And not just stress, but the, what do they call that? When you just can't get along with your day. I guess it is stress, but it's even more than that. It's not good. Fairgrower 1451. What do you usually do to fight stress? Me, there's that. I would try to relax, and you can do, I have CDs that have different songs on them that are like meditations. Meditation is a good way to work against stress. And I like the ones that are already on CDs, and you can go to sleep by them. And they are plentiful, and but I like it to be with a voice that is calming to me. I've heard a couple of people who do those that I can't stand to listen to them, because they will talk strangely, put their words together strangely, and like saying something like, oh, and now we have this, now we have that. No, I don't want to listen to that, because that will get on my nerves and probably cause more stress. But there are some out there that sound like that. So most of them are pretty good. Most of them you'll get to know the names and who you like listening to. And I'm sure that the stores that have these CDs, they have not microphones, is it? But earbuds that you can listen to it and see if you like it before you even buy it. And I think that would work out pretty well. And what else? Some kinds of music. If you go online, you can find music that is done in, what is it? A certain frequency. I'm trying to remember, is it 551 hertz or something, that is supposed to de-stress and help you to be calm, all of that type of thing. And but I've seen a lot of those on YouTube, so you could just find something to de-stress and in a specific range of frequency. And now I can't even think of what the range is. But if we go back to Tesla, he said if you understood the numbers 369, you could challenge anything in the universe that you would be able to know everything. I haven't figured it out, but he was a genius, and he said, those were really important numbers. And I don't know what they do, but I'm very respectful of anything he came up with. What else is there other than the pink salt, which that's the only salt I'll use. And you can use sea salt too. That's really good. So I like salt, and I'm not going to give it up. I'm not going to listen to somebody say, oh, you shouldn't have salt. Well, that's your electrical system in your body, salt water. So, and that's what they give you when you go to the hospital. And again, I've had a doctor ask me, well, are you taking much salt? And I said, I only use Himalayan pink salt. I just tell them, they don't say anything. Then. So that's, you got to stand up for yourself. Fairgore 2185. All I know is that 369 are odd numbers. Yeah, they really are. And plus they graduate 3, 3. 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 3 is 9. And that's what he said, and that's all I know about it. But I've seen it in other places as well. If you ever listen to any documentaries or podcasts where they get into that subject, they all know it and they'll all talk about it. So it's not a hidden message or anything like that. I just keep my mind open, keep learning things, and that's not bad. And if it is wrong, eventually you'll learn that it's not true or that it's wrong, and you don't get hurt by it. So I've been on the planet a long time, so I figure I've figured out some things. And I don't think it's going to hurt me to have knowledge, no. Fairgore 1451. Sea salt is just sodium. It can help with tummy aches. Yeah, I didn't know about the tummy aches, but that's good to know. It is. Your table salt has other things in it. They put stabilizers or something into that. So now you are getting something that's not the best it could be. And some of that, you run it through a little mill and you twirl that around and it comes through. And I think your sea salt, you can do that, where it's more of a rocky, coarse type of salt. You can do that. And it's pretty good. So what else could we think about? I'm thinking, well, I'm going to be on tomorrow at the same time, and Fairgore 1451. Warm water and sea salt helps with my acid reflux. That's good to know too. It really is. So, and also, of course, salt water for your throat if you have a sore throat. I mean, it's good for a lot of things, and it's very, very basic, very, very much the beginning of man That's when they created us, when God created us, that there was salt and there was water, oxygen, all of these different things. So it's very basic, very common. And like when I was a small child, before I went to school, I actually had pneumonia, double pneumonia. And what they used then were what we would call a mustard pack. And that's what they used for me. So I looked that up, and it's still, you can get that today, and it still works the same as it did back then. We didn't have all those fancy medicines, so that worked. So, some of these old fashioned prescription type things were actually good for us. I mean, they helped us. So you don't have to run out and try and find something you can't find or you can't get a hold of. And there were full instructions online about the mustard packs that you can try. So it didn't hurt me. It helped me, and I was just a child, so can't be too bad. So that's how that would work. And tomorrow, I don't know, I might try and get more information about some of the topics I've already gone over, and such as the mud fossils, because I didn't get as much information as I used to get on that, which was so fascinating, so revealing. I felt that it had everything it needed as far as what the professor was trying to teach people. You can't just poo-poo everything and say, oh no, I just can't believe that. Well, you don't have to. So I'm about run out of things to talk about here. So I'm thinking it's probably time for me to tackle my meal for this evening, and which I think is going to be chili, and which is a good food for me. I like it. And so I'm going to be saying, I'm so glad you guys showed up and that you're still interested in what's going on and what we have available and what's new and what's not. And if you haven't seen it, look up the new Apple car. It is, talk about something looking futuristic. It is really out there. So with that, I'm just going to say, again, I'm very grateful and thankful you've showed up. And I'll be back tomorrow. And I'm going to say goodbye for now and hope you have a very pleasant evening.